Hi, I'm Kat from Movement on Life, and I'm joined by Jonelle Lewis. Hi, Jonelle.
Hey, I'm good, thank you. Just had
Hey,
to sit up a little higher.
yeah, and we are talking to you. Well, this I'm in Stroud in Gloucestershire, and you are in sunny California, aren't you?
It's not so sunny today. It's a little bit of fog, but it usually burns off. So we'll get some sun soon.
The fact that there's a usually with regards to the sun. Here it's a sunny
Yeah.
day, and my camera doesn't quite know what to do with that. It's like, oh my gosh, I've never seen this situation before. But you know, I'm thrilled to be joined by you today because, well, because you're an amazing and fun person to talk to anytime, but also one of our most popular teachers on Movement for Modern Life. And you're somebody who is, you make in your style of the way that you practice, you make everything seem so accessible and fun and easy. And you just like pop into a pose and nothing is a big dealio. And that
No.
is such an amazing like way of doing things. I think it's yeah, I think that your teaching reaches a lot of people.
Thank you so much. It's so again, it's always an honor and a pleasure to get to hang out with you in any way that we can, Kat. So
Absolutely.
virtually or in person, and I'm really honored to be a teacher on the Movement for Modern Life platform,
Yeah.
and also honored to be a person that uses the platform that does classes on it. And
Oh.
I for me, and this is really where I have gotten to with my teaching, is
Mm,
that if it's not accessible,
mhm,
then what am I doing? If I'm not with the teaching, with the practice, if my intention is not for it to be accessible to like, okay, like let's see, let's get into this in the way that our body is going to allow in this moment. If
mhm.
that is not at the core of my teaching, then what am I doing? And that's what I've set with, and it's not a judgment about however anybody else creates their classes.
Mhm,
I want my students to have a high level of success,
mm,
that that they are able to do most of it. And what if there's something that in that moment that they can't do, or they feel like, this is not a place that I want to go, that
mhm,
they have somewhere to be
mhm.
if they don't want to be in the other place. That
Yeah,
that
right.
is not, it's not like the aim is, and I don't really necessarily, I teach I try to teach something stuff that's sensible and
Mhm,
that makes sense, but
mhm.
not to this thing where, and now we're here, and if you can't do this, then you've been wasting your time for the last
Yeah,
55
right.
minutes. It's like, that's like bullshit. I can That's all. I can't, I don't. I've been in those classes,
Yeah,
and again,
we have all been in those classes.
It's not a judgment. However,
Mhm,
the way this practice has manifested in my life and is being
mhm.
transmitted to me is about accessibility, is about the ease of being able to do it without a whole bunch of fanfare or anything like that. That is like, right, I just do this yoga. It's not something that's super fancy. It's something that is like my birthright, and I have access to it. And I do this yoga, I do the movement, I do meditation because it's a basic human right. It's not some fancy thing or necessarily this aspirational thing, because that has just gotten us into a world of trouble. So I'm like, accessible. Like, let's make this, as accessible as it is, as it can be. Now I know it might not be some people's cup of tea, and that's super fine. They might prefer something else, and that's what I like, this try my style, right? But
Right.
my intention is for it to be like, oh, and now we're doing this, and
Yeah.
now we're not.
Yeah, right. And that's really comes across in your teaching that it's not a gripping on a pose, it's not a gripping on a
No,
particular way.
no.
It's an easy looseness
Mm-mm.
around it. I
Yeah.
like that. I like that. Have you been doing any of the try your style? Where are you with different styles?
Okay. So I am, who I really, there are certain teachers on the platform that I really love and I will always like come back to. And one of my like favorite
Mhm.
teachers is Nikita Akalapa,
Oh my
and
goodness.
she's my girl.
Yeah.
Like I love her, and I feel like Nikita is the embodiment of just what a woman should be, a mother, a yoga teacher. So
Absolutely.
I really enjoy her classes, and hers it's always a beautiful intention, a beautiful flow. And it's, she's like, you're in these poses.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
be with them and always really well thought out. And the way
Yeah.
she speaks is beautifully.
Yeah.
So she's one of my
She's one of your
favorites.
go-tos. And the thing
And
about her classes is she manages to weave in bits of yoga philosophy, but just in little ways that you don't even know you're hearing it. She's very artful in that, don't you think? I just love
she's very artful, very skillful. And she's just she's a great guide. I also do
that. Mhm.
and she's also my friend and soon to be mother Katarina Rayburn's
Oh, yeah.
classes.
Oh,
She's
my
now that's my I mean I love her. I used to teach at her studio. We
goodness.
trained together, and
Oh,
we're
did
just
you?
like she's like a sister to me. And I was so delighted when her classes came onto the platform because again, we have similar backgrounds, similar training. So it's always really nice to hang out. And she's really one of my dear friends. And her husband is as well. So he's in the video. So I get to see the
Yeah,
both
he
of
is.
them.
Yeah, he is.
He's a Julian is fantastic. So I do her classes regularly. And then also Jean Hall,
Oh,
who
my
is just a queen in my life. And it's funny, I'd been going to Jean's classes in London, making the teachers practice, and I
goodness.
was devastated when I'm like, oh God, like I'm learning so much from her. But
Hmm.
she has so much on the platform
I
that
know.
it's like it's okay. I get to hang out. I get to hang out with Jean and then also Naomi Absalom. I like all my teachers, Layla Sadeghi, all of my teachers, Mimi, Cole Deemer, they're all on Movement from Outer Life. So I get to so there we go. That's what Jonelle does. I hang
Isn't
out with those folks.
isn't
That's
that
where I
isn't
like
that
to
great?
hang.
I love it. I love it. God, that's a meaty selection of the teachers. That's a few
They're
teachers to keep you
they
occupied and
keep me on my toes. Yeah, yeah.
keep you locked down. Oh, that's cool. And so, in terms of the style, because you're trained in Rocket, correct me if I'm wrong.
That is yeah, Ashtanga Vinyasa and Rocket. Yep.
Okay,
That was my first 200 hours, which I'm
that was your
deeply
first
grateful for.
100 hours. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Mm-hmm.
was so that was a feisty start, right?
Well, it was really interesting.
Mhm.
So I started doing Ashtanga. I started
Mhm.
doing like first it was the Bikram, right? That's the
Oh my
gateway drug.
goodness.
That
Yeah.
that bad news Bikram. No, whatever. I teach a hot house of style. Kristen Campbell, that's another
Oh, she's
person.
another
She's
one.
one of my teachers. Um, and then I started doing Ashtanga, and what I liked about it was I was going through a really difficult time, but when
Mhm.
I came to the mat, I knew what I was going to get. And
Yeah.
I felt like I was getting stronger and I was doing this and then my life was slowly getting itself
Mhm.
together and then a voice in my head said go teach this and I'm like okay
Mm.
so I found a Ashtanga Vinyasa course in
Mhm.
India
Mhm.
and I didn't really read it all the way because then there was this rocket and I did not know what hit me. I was like, what in the world is this?
Oh my
And
goodness.
everyone was there to do this rocket except for me because I didn't know what it was.
Oh,
And I
that is
was
so
just
funny.
like, I was like, Lord
You
have
didn't read
mercy.
the small print and you just arrived in India.
Well, it's probably, and like again, everything happens for a reason because
All
so
of
many
it.
other wonderful things happen when I'm there. But this
Absolutely.
rocket, every day I was like, so when are we doing the Ashtanga again? The thing that I know, because this thing is scary and it's got me, and I'm like, I'm never gonna teach this. That's what I said. And sure enough, I came back to London, and that's what I was teaching because it is more what I realized is like, yeah, I mean, the Ashtanga was cool, but the Rocket was a little bit more my personality type. And
Right.
then that kind of turned into me just being like a vinyasa teacher and power, because then that was a base. But what I realized is I was actually a really creative person,
Mm-hmm.
and I like to do things in different ways and different
Mm-hmm.
transitions instead of just sticking to a
Just
script, and this is what
yeah.
it must be. So yeah, that's and that was the beginning. And then I did a yin training after that. So I had all this fire.
I want to hang on. You're going quick. I want to dial back a bit. Okay,
Okay.
because you said rocket. That was my personality. So talk to us.
More of my
Like,
personality.
yeah,
More.
one aspect of your personality. Let's say.
Hmm.
What's it about? Like, what is rocket for people who don't
Um,
know what rocket is?
so it really what it is. It's steeped in Ashtanga Vinyasa. So that is
Mm-hmm.
very core fundamental of it. So if you
Mm-hmm.
don't like sun A's and you don't like sun B's and you don't like doing forward chaturanga, up dog, down dog, that then that might not be for you. So
Uh-huh.
it's very much in Ashtanga. It is a set sequence. So the postures, it'll be warrior one, warrior two, triangle pose, twisted triangle.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to a class that says rocket, you
Mm-hmm.
do know you're going to get sun A's, sun B's, and some semblance of the standing postures in this way,
Right.
depending on how long the class is. It depends on how much of the sequence you get. If you're in an hour class,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be abbreviated. If
Mm-hmm.
you're in an hour and a half, you're going to get a lot more of it. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
like masterfully, you can probably do the full rocket sequence if you have somebody, and then we bring in the actual thing about the rocket is that it's quick. You're not hanging out in the
And that's why it's called
postures.
rocket.
That's why it's called,
Yeah,
well,
that's right.
twofold. They
Okay.
called it rocket because the teacher, the person that came up with it, Larry Schultz, bless his soul, he's passed away. He was teaching the Grateful Dead on tour, and they said we call it the rocket because it gets us there faster. Because it's like some of the poses that are inaccessible in
Mm-hmm.
Ashtanga, they just chucked them out
So it's
and
like, this is
made it.
something in the third series. It would normally take us 3 decades of practice to get there.
They
And
said
they're like,
we're gonna
it's
put it
cool.
in
You
there.
can just put it right in there. Okay, got it.
We're just gonna bash it in right now,
Back it
and
out. It's fine. You'll
it's
be good.
and I think that's is
Love it.
something. And so from the very beginning, it's something about that appealed to me because they're
Mm-hmm.
like just making it more accessible for them, less elitist, less,
Yes.
because what we know is there are some people that are going to always be able to do it. They would never have, they don't have to ever have done yoga, and they
Mm-hmm.
come in and their body proportions are so that they can bind in a lotus and a twist.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other people, they've been practicing for decades and they're never going to be able to do it because of where their bodies and the bones are.
That's
So I think even from the very beginning it was something like, it's like this practice needs to be accessible.
mm-hmm.
It needs to be inclusive. It needs to be able to, people need to be able to feel like that they can do it, and that if they can't do it, you don't just shut them down, right? Because that's what they do.
Yeah,
You shut
right.
it down, you go home. It's like
You're no good. Bad yogi.
that's not what do you call that? Hymns of nonviolence. It's not really practicing that. So that is, yeah. So that rocket, a full rocket will take you about an hour and a half, 2 hours to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's
It's
rocket. But isn't that,
yes,
because that's more of a like Ashtanga, it's more of a like sequency thing. But you were like,
yeah,
I want to use my own creativity to come
hmm,
up with my own vinyasa
yeah.
styles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the thing is that I know there are a lot of rocket teachers like Katerina who
Mm,
are creative. I
yeah,
just
very much.
realized that I didn't want, like, and you come to, if you ever take one of my power classes, and I have one on, you can
Mm-hmm.
feel the flavor, you can feel the influences, but I felt like I'll take that name off of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I can do what I want, and then
Yeah.
people have no expectation. And
Mm-hmm.
because that's a bit, sometimes, especially the Ashtanga
Mm-hmm.
type of people,
Yeah.
they
They
very
want to know what they're
regimented,
going to get and they
and
need
it's
it. Yeah.
like, I don't want to mess with you people. So
I
we'll
love it.
call it vinyasa, we'll call it power yoga, we'll call it whatever.
Uh-huh.
Yoga. No, we'll just call
Yeah.
it yoga.
Just call it yoga.
And so I wanted to just be able to like play with it, and also maybe not have it so fast.
Yeah, right.
Maybe it's not so fast to
Mhm.
give people, because what I realized is that the places I was teaching, I was constantly getting new people and getting beginners.
Mhm.
And Rocket, really at its essence, is that you would have been doing Ashtanga and now you want to go do something fun. You're
Right.
sick of the Ashtanga, you're bored. And so that's more of a, what we would say is you've been practicing for a little while and this is what you go to
Yeah,
next. Where I was getting like, listen, my wife told me to come because I have a bad back. People coming to my class and I'm like, all right.
right.
So I had to really meet the people that
Mhm.
were coming to the classes.
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
a new teacher. I was getting new students.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah, that sounds really good and sensible. You didn't break those people by doing super fast. And I do find that your classes are like they're not that they're swift, but they're mind like you can catch your breath. You can breathe well
yeah,
throughout the practice. And for me,
yeah.
that's so important. I mean, I think in many classes they're so quick that I find that it speeds up my breath a lot.
Yeah, and then the over breathing happens, especially
Yeah.
if the teachers are pushing ujjayi breath, where you're
Hmm.
actually jacking your nervous system way, way up.
Hmm.
And in some people's bodies that can be really problematic. So I also had to look at, like you say, how are people able to breathe
Yeah.
in the classes, and again allowing for space where it's
Hmm.
like, you know, you transition when you're ready, and when you come and being in positions that again make sense, the
Hmm.
transitions make sense. And if any, don't the Rocket crew don't come for me, but some of the transitions in Rocket didn't make sense when you had people in a certain position.
They'll
So
come
it's
for sure.
literally like not, and I mean I'm a pretty mobile person,
Yeah,
so I'm
you are.
like, if I'm like,
Mm,
just struggling to get here, what's John that's been sitting at his desk all
mhm.
day,
Yeah, how's
or
it feel?
Susan that's been like,
Mhm.
no, they ain't doing it. So I had to like, I'm like, okay, how can we, we're gonna always have fun in class. Like that is
Mhm.
another thing. After
All your class.
accessibility, for me, it has to be fun, because if it's
Yeah.
not fun, it's too serious. And what we know is that the quickest way to learn is learning through play. When you're
Mm,
not really taking it too seriously,
mm,
you're a lot more receptive to learning. The
mm.
practice is going to imprint on you a lot more, and that's what I've experienced in my body world. When it's all too, it's like, oh my
Mhm.
god, I'm scared. But
Yeah.
when it's a little bit more like, all right, like this is just what we're doing right now,
Uh-huh.
is my body really opens up to that. So I try to facilitate that experience for my students when they come.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense. And your classes are really good fun. That is something that you can do with a Jonelle class, either on One Life or a live class. Like, they're fun. It's brilliant. Now, I'm going to go back to what you were saying, the story, because then you did your yin training. Now, that is obviously the opposite of the yang, the ashtanga, the rocket. So, how
Mm-hmm.
did all that come in? Where did your thinking about yin start?
It was again on the teacher training. We had to do a
Mhm.
yin class, and it literally broke me wide open. I went through every range of emotion.
Wow.
I was like, all right, what is this?
Hmm.
Oh my God, what is this?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what is it? And started crying,
Mhm.
and somebody get me out of here. I can't cope with this.
Oh.
And my teacher looked at me and was like, what are you doing? Just sit with it. Sit with it. I'm going crazy. Then just crying pitifully. And this was just in this one pigeon pose.
Oh,
I
just one
literally
nose.
remember, and I mean, we were there for like 7 or 8 minutes.
Ooh.
And yeah, I know. But however, that's what it needed to be for me to actually feel something.
Hmm.
Because with the other stuff, it was
Hmm.
like, I mean, I was not feeling anything, but this was just like all the stuff that I'd stuffed down, all the stuff that
Wow.
I, was running away from, I was confronted with in this posture. And I was like, I hate this. I won't do this again. What is this? And then, as always happens with me, every time I have this big go away from me, there's a
Uh-huh.
part of me that goes, now, this is exactly what you need. You need this. And every time I did some yin, it was just all of this big, like, whoa, feeling. And I needed to like look into that a bit more. So I
Mm,
went off to Bali with these absolutely magical, amazing people, and did a yin course that also included traditional Chinese medicine and meridians. And it was such a big opening and awakening for
mm,
me, a big shift, and loads of meditation. And and I'm so thankful for that, because it is exactly what I needed, and really, really set me. All of these have been baby steps to this, but
mhm.
that was a really big
Big shift.
awakening for me. And I love the yin practice. I think everybody should do yin and
Yeah.
restorative, and everyone should be, because that was my really entryway into being able to meditate, because that was a big barrier for
Right.
me for meditation, the sitting with the
Mhm,
things, because I'm like, what's going on? This is difficult. I don't understand. I keep thinking all these crazy things.
mhm.
And the yin kind of helped to prep me to be
Yeah.
able to be with all the things that were coming up, because it was me. It's me. And I don't,
Mhm.
need to run away from myself anymore. Like, it's cool. I'm all right. I'm not that bad.
Oh,
So
yeah. I love that. Now, for folks who don't really know what yin is, how would you describe yin?
so it's yoga. And you hold the poses for a minimum of 2 minutes.
Uh-huh.
On the classes on movement for modern life, I don't think people do super duper 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 long holds,
Yeah.
but the minimum is 2 minutes, and the intention is to work with the connective tissue, allow the muscles to relax, to work into the bone structure and around the joints, and to allow for more space. So it's not like just when we're working with hatha yoga or vinyasa, when
Mhm,
you're really the musculature, you're working with the muscle.
mhm,
Here you let the muscle have a break, and you allow some of the more dense, more fixed structures in the body to open up and have space and open. So
right.
you feel a sense of there, especially if you are newer to yoga in general, you
Mhm,
will find a sense of stretch. I'm not going to say that you don't have it, but it's more passive. The
mhm,
muscles are relaxing, and
mhm,
you're supported. It's more floor based, and
mhm,
very props are very much recommended to
mhm,
have you supported, so um, that you're not just hanging off the joints while
mhm,
you're doing this, because it's really important to be safe, especially if you're a hypermobile person and
mhm.
want to do the yin practice, which I am
Yeah.
hypermobile.
Right.
So and so that's just, and then we work with the different the major girdles of the body. So you can do it in a real anatomical way, where you're focusing on your quads, the front of the
Mhm,
thighs, you're focusing on your hamstrings, back of the thighs, and just getting a nice, lovely opening and space for your body. Um, Especially, I think I think everyone should do it, but
yeah.
especially I know folks that run
Yeah.
and cycle and do all of these other really yang
Yeah.
active things. For me, I feel like yin and restorative are the perfect
Very.
complements to those more active activities, where the spaces you're really working, you're letting
Mhm,
them have a little break, and they open. And
mhm,
I also feel like, for me, as someone that loves this vinyasa yoga,
mhm,
it really opened up spaces in my body that were closed and overworked.
mhm.
And so when I'm practicing flow, there's again more space to flow.
Yeah. Right. Oh, that's so. and it's having that as like literally the yin to the yang. So you're doing
Mm-hmm.
something very athletic. So you're doing the ashtanga, the running, the cycling, that kind of like tight, muscly kind of person doing those kinds of activities. It's
Yeah,
a good lengthener. Hey?
it is. And also, the sneaky thing is like, for
Mm,
me, it's like a little bit of a meditation. You know, you're in the postures, and then you come out and you get the rebound, and you get space, and you just see what's there,
mm,
right? Space to be supported by the earth, space to rest,
mm,
space to breathe. It's
mm,
not fast at all, and space to contemplate, to look inwards.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's such a beautiful practice, and it's a real, I think, you know, it's really really helped me as a person, as a part of my self-development as a person. This practice is like, you know, I'll be in it and I get so much insight, and
Mm,
not just into, you know, into my body.
mm,
Like, whoa, all right, you made me need to pay a little attention there, but just to what's going on with me,
mm.
and I find that invaluable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. So do you now have a meditation practice as well, Jonelle?
I do. I sit every day, and this is like not a show. It's a necessity.
Mm-hmm.
I got really serious. So off and on since I was teaching, but I found it difficult to make time. I found it difficult to make space,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of had this, even as a yoga teacher, the way that it was being delivered, it didn't land. And in 2018, I got really serious. Like the back end of 2017
Mm,
into 2018, I just said, "Listen, this is just, you have to do this thing."
yeah.
And it's my work with Layla Sadeghi that has really, really helped
Oh,
me to. She's a
fabulous.
fantastic teacher. Do her classes.
Oh my goodness.
Um, that really helped me to crack that nut. And I sit every day, and you know, I do like some mantra and mudras, and whatever I'm working with, and I have that space.
Mm. Oh,
Yeah.
it's interesting. That's so great that Layla was instrumental in that meditation.
Yeah, she really,
And,
really helped to facilitate it. And just to make, she was very plain speaking about
mm,
it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And with how just the plainness,
mm,
and again, it's nothing fancy. You're
yeah.
just really, she's like, you're just sitting with yourself. That's it. Like, she's like, we don't even have to call it meditation anymore. Let's just call it, you're sitting with Jonelle. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do that.
Oh, that's a really nice way. I think there's a lot of folks who struggle with sitting. Most people do. And I
Most
think
people
that's
do.
a really
Most
nice
people do.
way of doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most people do. And I think all the yoga asana, you know, all the movement, all of that is, you know, preparation for this sitting. That's what I've looked at it as. It
Yeah.
is ultimately getting me ready to be able to sit. And it, again, it can be for 5 minutes, it can be for 10 minutes.
Mm,
All the breath work, you know, all of those things, they are a direct line into that space where, you know, you just sit, have a little quiet, and then move on with the rest of your day, or doing it, or moving to bed, or whenever it is that you do
What
it.
what have you found has changed in the last couple of years since you have been able to meditate better?
Oh my God, everything.
Like just
Everything.
to inspire people to stick with it, right?
So I my boyfriend, bless him, he was like, "Oh my God, if you didn't do all this yoga and meditation, you'd be a nightmare.
Yeah.
You'd be a real crazy person." And literally,
Could do that.
I was, because it's like I wasn't airing some of the things that were coming up for me. So when
Mm,
I sit in meditation, I can really like it's like taking my temperature every day. What's
Right.
going on? How do you feel? And when I would acknowledge like I am just really not feeling great today,
Mm.
then I know I don't feel great. So there's certain situations I'm not going to put myself in. There's certain things that I just won't do. I won't push myself in that direction. There's certain conversations that I'll say, I'll have speak to you another time, or where I'm not going to delve into it because I already know that I'm not resourced enough to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's space in like meditation where I'm sitting and I'll be like stressed, like anxious, like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do about this. And then I'll sit and the answer comes. No more stress, no more anxiety. Okay, this is I'm getting my answers. I'm knowing what's going on with what's going on with me, so I can meet the world better. That
Mm.
it just enables me to meet the world better, to be a better mother to my daughter because I'm more present, and I'm being my true authentic self, and being a better teacher, running around London teaching all those classes. I could not have done it in the way that I did for the past few years without the meditation. And it really helped me to and then I'm like, I'm not one of these productivity positivity like hustlers, but it really did help me to be more productive and just a little bit more positive because I knew what I was working with. I
Mhm.
wasn't having to fake it. And in the days that I didn't feel so great, it's like, yeah, but this will pass too.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that, Jonelle. Well, there we go. So we should all stick with it, even though it's hard.
5 minutes is enough. And I say start. I started off very small. I
Mhm.
started off like trying to do it on the train. I all sorts of crazy. But I
Right.
knew I'm like, look, keep going. And now it's like it sticks, it's stuck, and
Okay.
it happens, and it's great for mental health. I know we
Yeah.
just came off of Mental Health Awareness Week.
Yeah,
It
for
has
sure.
been one of my key tools to stabilize my mental health.
Oh, that's great. That's really good to know. And you mentioned the breath work practices. Do you do anything specific? What's your kind of routine on that?
So I since all of this corona, and I'm gonna
Mhm.
be honest, I've
Mhm.
been doing the Wim Hof method every morning.
Mhm.
He has an app, and I get up and I do it. I do 4 rounds of it, and then I go into my meditation mantra practice. And I have space to be able to do it. It's an app. It's the Wim Hof app. I do it.
What
It's
does it involve?
um, you're inhaling and exhaling in and out of your mouth,
Mhm.
and there are two retention, two
Mhm.
kambakas. One with the breath out,
Mhm.
that's the longer hold, and
Mhm.
then a recovery of the breath in, and you go into the next round. It is the most simple thing ever, and it again it helps me with knowing taking the temperature because what I've experienced is that breath helps me to get the stuff that's stuck. It
Yeah.
helps me to get it out. Like,
Get it out.
any emotions, any things that
Mhm.
are, might be bubbling up. It helps me get it out. Sometimes I'm doing the breathing and I'm in tears. I'm crying,
Mhm.
right? But it's okay. It's all right, and I finish it, and then I always feel better. So I've got that app and I've been using it, and
Right.
it's been a real help for me. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like anything. I mean, there are pranayama classes on
Mhm.
MFML.
Yeah.
Go do them. I just find that that's something I tacked on to
Yeah.
my practices that I was
Yeah.
already doing.
Well, that's it. And I don't know if you've seen Dan Pepiot's 10-day breathwork challenge because he
I need
explores
to do
different
it.
types of breathwork in that.
Good.
It's interesting. And I think that in the same way that you've found a thing that works, like if people are trying different
Yeah.
breathworks, it's like find that thing that's going to work for you and can be your go-to to
And
think about every
and
day.
and and
Do it.
before that, I was doing like Kapla body. I would do Kapla body breath
Mhm.
just on my own, especially again when we is I'm tend to get like colds and the things when the seasons change. So to
Mhm.
help combat that, I was doing this Kapla body breathing, and that was great for me. But I just started to do this other thing, and I mean, breath is life, so you gotta pay attention to that,
Yeah,
right? And
you gotta do the work. Hey.
yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, Kapalabhati is the skull shining breath,
skull
and
is a
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
it's very, and that's good for remaining corona free.
Mhm.
You know, that's nice because it's something that does attack the lungs. So all of these breathing practices, all the practices that get you breathing are very, very good, helping to make you resilient.
I'm gonna put some links on this so that people can find out.
Amazing.
Yeah, because I think for me, Kapalabhati is a really useful one because also it really gets deep into your abdomen as well, doesn't it? So you can
Yeah.
really connect to your power. It's a very powerful breath, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
One of Lucy Bruger, she has oh God, one of these core fire ones where
oh my
we do the
goodness.
cop. That one kicked my. It's very good, Lucy. I
It's
love
really
you, but
good.
I was like
Yeah.
so hot. So
Mhm.
that's it. That's a good. That's one I know I really like on MFML that has
Yeah.
the Kapla body breathing.
Yeah, I think that is one which is it's a solar plexus class. It's
Mm.
a really strong one. I'll link on that one as well. Yeah, she's got some feisty going on there too,
I
hey?
love her. I used to do her classes when she lived in London. I
Oh,
adore her.
oh, so
Mm.
she's another one who you. So you really do hop across the styles. That's really
Listen, yeah, I am and oh, Emma Henry, Jivamukti. I
great.
do
Mhm.
her classes. People are like, "Oh, here she comes again." And then also, I used to do his classes all the time. Is my lovely, lovely, lovely David Cam. He's a
Oh my
good
goodness,
friend.
he
And
is
Adam,
amazing.
literally all my teachers, Adam Hoke,
Adam,
everybody is one. You
it's
know.
so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, like you
Hmm.
named, that's everybody. That's the stable. And the nice
Yeah.
thing is everybody's got a really there's a different way, there's a different style,
Hmm.
there's a different thing. And it's nice to know that in your own practice, you are going across, you're not being rigid and being like,
Mm-mm.
this is what I do. Huh.
Oh no, and I think that is, I mean, and I know we're probably gonna get here of that because like with mainly in Vinyasa I teach Mandala,
Hmm.
and I think that is like with Mandala there are so many. I'm influenced by so many things, and you can bring that into that practice really. So that is like it really facilitates anything that you're into. Like I throw bits of qigong in there, and bits of mobility work and whatever whatever I think is cool, whatever I'm like, oh, I'm gonna put that in here. I think this is a cool little transition. So that's why I do go to so many different teachers, because it's you're always, for me, feeding that creativity and
Hmm.
looking at the practice from different lenses. I feel like that helps to to keep it fresh and to keep it
Yeah.
fun, and to also not have it so rigid, like that there
Yeah.
is one way to do this thing, and it's
Mhm.
like as many paths to do, many ways to do this life, to do this
Mhm.
practice. So
That's so cool. I love it. Gosh, you've named every kind of yoga, every kind of person. And I love that they all end up in mixed in somewhere into your lovely mandala vinyasa. And the mandala classes are where like they confuse the hell out of everybody who does online classes because you're looking at the screen and then
you're
you're
not.
not, and then you are. But that what I find is great is because they make you listen.
They do make you listen. And what I, so again, the first time I did mandala, and I had been doing all this ashtanga and this
Mhm.
rocket, this mandala, I was just like, what on earth is this?
Mhm.
This is just so crazy. Look this way. Look, I was like, lady, can you just leave me alone?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, I just want to do this yoga in the way that I know.
That's
And again, it was like, But how about life has you looking this way and that way?
Yeah.
So why can't we have a yoga practice that does the same thing? You know, and to me it makes sense. It's like you don't never know what's happening in life. It's fine. You might not know what's gonna come next, but you still meet it. You still manage to do it, right? We're all here. We still manage
Mm-hmm.
to make it happen. And so that's what I just say to my students. I go, you're fine. You're fine. Stay with me and you'll be fine.
I
And
love
I like the mandala because as a teacher, you're present. You can't be like, thinking about your shopping list and teaching them.
it. Mm-hmm.
You have to be so in it and so vested. And it's this beautiful vortex of energy that's created. And for me, I feel like even if I'm teaching it on camera, on like and nobody's there or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, it's like a magic spell. And there's all these different elements and just a spell to awakening, a spell for embodiment, a spell for fun, whatever it is that you're needing in that moment. And I found it with Mandala, and I feel like it's a nice for me and my body. It feels good to move back and forth because I'm not putting too much load in one place at one time, and I'm shifting. And again, I'm not getting any younger. And if anybody out there is getting younger, tell me, come talk to me because I want to talk to you about that.
Yeah, right.
And it helps. It's the mobility aspect of it because you're moving and you're reaching and to be able to not just being flexible but being mobile. And that's why I really enjoy that practice.
Oh wow, yeah. Well, I think I have now got a little list. I've been writing down all the yoga practices from the things that you've named that I want to be doing. Because every time you talk about it, I'm like, yes, I want to be doing that. Yes, so now I'm going to be. I just want to go straight through to the next room and do one of your amazing mandala classes because they really are
Yeah.
and fun, and they get you listening, they get you creative and thinking about life differently. I love it. Well,
Yeah.
this has been an amazing, fast and furious chat through all of the styles and all of the things that we've done. And it's so cool to just connect with you, Jonelle, to just see your face and know that you're
Oh.
safe and well in these tricky times and that you too are out practicing with all of us. So that's
Yes,
amazing.
100% practicing with all of you and sending everybody just blessings of love, blessings of health, and that we were in this together. We're in this storm together and we'll get through it together. That's
Yeah,
it, and keep doing these practices because they help. They really do help. They really do. And if you feel well and resourced, then you can be a help and a resource for others.
yes, yes, so true. So let's be strong to be strong for others. That is
Yeah. And if you're not resourced, then you do these practices to resource yourself. And that's cool. I'm like, if all we do is wash our hands, be good to our loved ones, and be alive on the other side of it, we've all done a great job.
that's absolutely right. That is a great message. I love it. Jonelle, thank you so, so much.
Thank you
It's
so much.
been amazing
I
as ever.
love you, Kat.
I love you so much. You're great. All right. Take care of yourself. Stay well.
Take care. Bye bye.
All right.